It was overhyped. It was overpriced. What Mexican inspired that? How the fuck you gonna tell me? Who you lying to? Who you lying to? Who are we doing this for? Who did we do that for? Because that was a waste of time and effort. This girl's eaten at a lot of fine dining restaurants, and I've got opinions. Welcome back to my Michelin star restaurant series, where we deep dive into all of the fine dining restaurants that I've eaten at all over the world. If you've been here before, you know the deal. We're gonna get into the good, the bad, and the shit that pissed me off. I'm just yapping about food. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to present my thoughts on this one because at the time, I was impressed with the experience overall. The flavors weren't necessarily my favorite, but obviously it wasn't the worst Michelin star restaurant I had been to. The only thing is, after stewing on it for a while and going to other restaurants and getting a better feel for my standards, this place just didn't hold up, y'all. It was okay. It was fun at the time, but 3 stars? I don't think so. I just don't think so. In the Michelin world, 3 stars is the highest honor you can earn. There are only a few of them in the US. This place has even had TV shows made about them. So this was a really big deal. This place is almost $500 a head. It's very exclusive, and those tickets sell out ASAP. I have no idea how my husband even got any. It was an amazing experience at the time. Don't get me wrong. They definitely have a flair for the theatrics, and I was here for it, okay? Now, they started off with a heater. Fucking 10 out of 10, y'all. A fucking 10 out of 10. Took one bite and said, wait. The best thing that they served at Alinea. And all of the dishes afterwards paled in comparison. So they took caviar that they sourced from another 3-star Michelin restaurant, the French Laundry in California, dehydrated the caviar, pressed it into a ball, and then grated it. It was like the craziest Parmesan cheese. It was the best thing in the world. Salt, umami, off the charts. Literally a labyrinth of flavors. It was served on top of the most decadent creme fraiche. I love creme fraiche, okay? There was notes of leeks, which I adore. And then it was on top of the softest, most pillowy crepe ever. 10 out of 10. No notes. No notes. Okay, I'm all about crispy skin on a fish. So this 3-day marinated Arctic char salmon, very nice. That skin was a shelf. That thing was, when you bit it, it was fantastic. It was also really like smoky and citrusy in flavor. I thought it was a pretty good dish. Now, one thing I will give Alinea is their dishes come with an M. Night Shyamalan level plot twist, each and every one of them, because when you flip this over, there's a whole other entire dish at the bottom. On the other side of this dish was like a salty but sweet umami fish roe jelly. I don't know what the hell they did to this, because if you would have told me I was eating cold, sweet fish roe, I would have told you hell to the gnaw, but they killed it with this one. Very yummy. Okay, now Alinea, they doing the damn thing so far. I'm gonna give it to them, but this is where it starts to take a turn. So this dish right here is a scallop, perfectly cooked, sun-dried tomatoes, nice and sweet, and then it was inside of a bouillabaisse broth, which was so good. It was perfectly seasoned, okay? It's this up here. This up here that started all the trouble, and I'm gonna tell you why. Again, with the plot twist, so the top part of that we thought was like some sort of like wax covering or parchment paper, I don't know, but it turned out to be potato paper, so it was completely edible, right? This stew, it had too much fucking wine in it, okay? And what pisses me the fuck off to this day is that the damn waiter had the nerve to lie to me and tell me that there was no alcohol or no wine in that stew. Every single recipe that I have looked up for fisherman's stew since I've been to that restaurant, I've seen contains white wine. How the fuck you gonna tell me? Who you lying to? Who you lying to? I knew what the hell I tasted. Really argued me down though. Like he was polite about it, don't get me wrong, or else I would have popped the fuck off. But really asserted that there was no alcohol. It tasted like they just held that baby. It tasted like they just
shots of vodka. Ooh, it's gonna be strong.
It just kept going. I tasted nothing else. Me and my husband were like, are you serious? There's no alcohol whatsoever in here? And he was like, no, idiot. Now, I will say they did bring it back with this dish. This is a butter poached squid served atop a Thai curry coconut sauce. I gotta say, it was a hitter. Now, I have a mollusk intolerance, which includes squid. I get violently ill if I eat any sort of squid. I didn't know at the time that squids were considered a mollusk. I thought it was just limited to oysters, clams, mussels, that kind of thing that had traditionally fucked me up in the past. So I was like, nah, this is good. I'm gonna take a little bite. This is my husband's plate. They served me something different, which I'll show you next. But baby, one bite had me going through it that night. It resolved by morning, but it was worth it, y'all. It was so delicious. I would actually do it again. It was that good. So you can imagine my utter shock and dismay when they served me this piece of shit. White asparagus as a substitute for squid. White asparagus. Michelin restaurants, fine dining restaurants, cut this shit out. The white asparagus has to fucking go. It's not that good. And it's damn sure not good enough to be a replacement for a protein. Bitter, crunchy, pretty raw, actually. I don't really think it was cooked. It wasn't poached in anything. Why wasn't my butter poached? Could not have been less happy with this dish. It was disrespectful to me. I was trying to have a little bit of decorum myself because this was the first time I had dined at a 3-star Michelin restaurant. Honestly, this was pretty early in our Michelin restaurant journey, so there weren't a lot of places I had been at the time. So I'm just trying to enjoy the experience, not make too much of a fuss. After all the stars I've collected under my belt, baby, the fucking fit I would have thrown over this disgusting ass dish. Literally just a piece of white asparagus cross-hatched to try to mimic the pattern that was on the squid that my husband was served. Wrong! Wrong! And to make matters worse, they did entirely too fucking much with this dish. That little shaved thin layer of something on the side, there was something hanging from the ceiling the entire time while we were eating our meal. They reach up and pluck it from the ceiling. We were like, oh my gosh, how exciting, right? Then they fucking wheel out this large ass, I mean, it looks like an old school film projector. It's like a deli meat slicer to like slice this thing into the thinnest slices, right? And some goddamn celery root. Just tart. Who are we doing this for? Who did we do that for? Because that was a waste of time and effort. And it wasn't even cute. This is for sure gonna need a part 2, but the pièce de résistance of bullshattery. Now, I will give it up to the presentation of this dish because it is Mexican inspired. It looks like a broken Mayan like ornament or something, right? It's a 55 ingredient mole. There's butternut squash and a savory cracker, all covered in 23 karat gold. Not gold covered shit. What poor individual was slaving away? Just chopping and preparing and cooking all 55 of those ingredients just for it to culminate into, honestly, one of the most underwhelming dishes I've ever had. Can I say it was downright disgusting? No. But what were those 55 ingredients? Dirt, sand, grit, grime, mud, goop. What Mexican inspired that? I'm trying to figure out what Mexican, because there wasn't a Mexican in the kitchen that inspired that. The Mexicans were nowhere to be found when this mole was being made. Dirt. And that crunchy, crusty shortbread cracker or whatever that they call themselves serving with this dish was devoid of any flavor. That had the life force sucked out of it. The butternut squash, was it cooked? You really served me firm, unsalted butternut squash that you wrapped in 23 karat gold and thought that was going to do something? Jail. So yes, guys, unfortunately, I did not get my ass the fuck up and walk out of that restaurant like I should have. I continued to let them serve me more courses, but there were a few things in there that made me glad that I stayed. Would I call it a full redemption? Absolutely the fuck not. See you in part 2.